This review has been made possible by Toyota of Naperville. As you know, Toyota has tons of brand new Toyotas available for purchase. But did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to toyotaofnaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2005 GMC Safari. Up front is a 4.3 liter V6. Down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am excited to be driving the Safari here today because I drove an Astro van not too long ago, and this is really a upgraded, updated Astro van. Or is it? I guess we're about to find out, but let's get back to that 4.3 liter V6. Well, Chevy uses this in a lot of their vehicles, most importantly, their Chevy S10 pickup truck. The Chevy S10 either came with a 4-cylinder or the 4.3 liter V6, and the reason why that's important is because the S10 is one of the easiest trucks to find parts for, to buy, to modify, really from the modern era. It doesn't get more module than the Chevy S10 pickup truck from the late 90s and early 2000s. And so this shares an engine with it, which is great news. I'll put the horsepower and torque up on the screen. You're not gonna throw down any crazy numbers, and I will put down the miles per gallon on the screen as well, kilometers per liter for you foreign viewers up at the top of the screen. It isn't stellar in the numbers category. Let's see how the 4.3 liter does on the track. We are all warmed up here. We are out on the test track, so this is not a public road, but woo! It's a good amount of torque. Now that was not fast. That was approximately 31 miles an hour. However, it actually not only chirped the tires as you heard, but I got a little bit of, not burnout, but I definitely scrubbed the tires a little bit. And what transfers that torque is America's sweetheart, the 4L60E transmission. The 4-speed from Chevy. This thing was put in everything Chevy made, the 4L60E or even the 4L80E. And while, yeah, they're not the strongest transmissions, I mean, if you take a walk through any junkyard, you're going to trip over one. So at the end of the day, it's not all that bad. And I'd like to touch on the driving experience a little bit before we get into the interior, because it is kind of odd. I definitely feel like I am sitting on the vehicle as opposed to in the vehicle. I am very high up. If you notice my arm with the window here, it's like just down at my elbow. Like I actually have to like fully relax in order to put my arm down. And like, you just kind of, you're very high up. So let's talk about the interior. We have a couple interesting things to go through, mainly the fact that I have 3 rows of full seating. But in front of me, I have 5 gauges. On the far left is my temperature. Then I have my oil pressure. In the center, I have my giant speedometer. This is great, very easy to see, as well as what gear I'm in and my odometer, only 72,000 miles. And then on the right, I have my fuel gauge and my battery voltage gauge. Very standard gauges here from GM. However, these are kind of known, at least I know for a fact in the Silverados, these tend to go out. And these look like Silverado-ish gauges. So if you're planning on buying a Sierra or Astro van or Silverado for sure, drive it around for a little bit, make sure all the gauges work. They tend to sort of go out. It's kind of a common issue for Chevys from this era. But all my gauges are working here in the Safari, so can't blame it. On the steering wheel, I have nothing. It says GMC, but I have nothing besides that. To the left of me, I have my dome lights and headlights. And then on the door, I have my power mirrors and power windows, as well as power locks down below. And I do have a speaker, but it's by my kneecap. Very low on the door. Like I said, those windows are huge. Everything's sort of low. You're very high up. Coming into the center, I do have my climate controls at the very top. Low, high, rear defroster, and of course my temperature. And then I have the very, very typical 90s GM radio. This you'll find in everything. The Cavalier, Buick LeSabre, Buick Park Avenue, Chevy Silverado. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. They put this thing in everything. This is very much a GM parts bin part, but it is what it is. To the right of that, I do have rear AC and a rear wiper, which is very interesting for a 2005. And then we have the center console sort of cup holders. We do have a cigarette lighter at the upper left, a little cubby hole, and then 2 cup holders and a giant cubby hole in the center. Now, I don't actually get a middle center console right here in the center, which is very interesting, but very typical of vans from this era. They didn't really have center consoles here, so really I could stand up and walk and go get in back. I think that's sort of the idea of it, is that this was sort of the end of the era of camper vans. I mean, this was something you could park and you could go and sit in back and open a bag of Cheetos and sit around with your friends. Modern minivans don't do that. Modern vans don't do that. I like that a lot. The seats are nice and comfortable. These are seat covers. These are not the original fabric seats. These are added seat covers, but they're nice and comfortable. You know, GM was pretty comfortable at this time. It really shows through here, but I'm sure what you all want to see is the back seats, so we'll do some back seat reviews. All right, so we're in the second row of the 2005 GMC Safari, and I don't really have any amenities back here, besides the fact that I don't actually have a door on the driver's side of the vehicle. This was sort of typical of 90s minivans, and they carried it over into the 2000s for the Safari, because really this was designed in the 90s. I don't have a door over there. However, I can tilt open the window, get a little extra breeze in there on road trips, things like that. I do have a pop-out ashtray. I have a cup holder over there. This window I can also tilt out, so I can kind of just push this. Actually gets probably about inch and a half of air inlet, which is nice. I do have a grab handle to get in as well. If you have like grandparents or something like this is going to be a lot easier for them to get into than like a low car. I have lights and stuff, but let's hop into the third row, see if it's any worse. So, worse it is not. It's actually very comfortable back here. I have plenty of legroom. More legroom than most sedans. My knees are not hitting the front seat, and I'm in the third row. This is an amazing, amazing, amazing people hauler. I understand why church youth groups love these things. I can sit back here very, very comfortably. I am very comfortable. You can't even say that about modern SUVs anymore. Modern minivans do a pretty good job about the third row, but modern SUVs do not. This is more comfortable than a modern Tahoe. The 2021 Tahoe that I drove was $65,000. This is like $4,000 and a pack of Marlboro Lights. And this has the better back seat. I'm just saying. But even further than the back seats, we do even have a little bit of trunk room. So we'll hop around the back, look at the barn doors, and show you the trunk. Nice thing is that you can open up just the window. So if you want to keep animals in there or something of the sort. Sorry, it's really windy here. You can definitely do so. Then we have the sort of barn doors. These actually open out. They don't stay open very well, apparently. I mean, look at that. And you have speakers, so if you're tailgating, leave those speakers on, baby. You're gonna throw a little fiesta in your Safari. The last thing I don't really like about the interior is the fact that it does sort of struggle with late 90s, early 2000s GM build quality. And what I mean by that is the fact that there's a couple rattles. Can't really figure out what. I think it's actually the rear door. Everything is sort of plasticky. Listen to this. It's just, the build quality isn't quite there, but you know, it's one of those cars, you just kind of turn up the radio and try to forget about it. But let's talk about the looks. This looks identical to the Astro van. Literally, they changed the GMC logo in the grille, and of course added Safari instead of Astro to the back. That's about it. The GMCs did come in more muted colors, at least from what I've seen. Here's the thing. Here's my final thoughts on the Safari is why would you get this over a Astro van? No, I'm actually asking you, why would you get this over an Astro van? I don't know. I don't really feel or see any features in here that really set it apart from the Astro van that I drove years ago. Maybe the Astro van didn't have the rear wiper and rear defroster? I don't know. I really can't find anything in here that was missing from the Astro van. And right now, I'll pause and tell you the actual true differences if I'm able to find any. But while this might not be that different from an Astro van, I still love them both equally. I think these are really great budget-friendly camper-style vans. And I think, I think van culture is really starting to come back, especially because of COVID-19. People want to go across the country with their families. People want to get out of the house, but they don't want to see other people. What's more perfect than a camper van? Why not build an Astro van? Why not make one of these your camper van? Has plenty of room. Parts are plentiful. Plentiful, plentiful, plentiful. Like I said, not only is the engine from a Chevy S10, but the 4L60E transmission, there's probably one at the bottom of that lake right over there. I mean, stand on any tall building and throw a rock, you're going to hit a vehicle that has a 4L60E transmission, at least here in America. Parts are plentiful. There's tons of space, and you can get these for very, very cheap. This only has 72,000 miles on it, and Toyota is not asking that much money for it. You can find these very cheap. And that's very, very nice. And there's just something so comforting about early 2000s GM. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. They all smell the same, but I can't really quantify what they smell like. Must be something in the fabric or materials that they used. But there's just something very, very comforting about driving this. This is the time when I grew up. When in 2005, I was 8 years old. I always tell people, as a human being, that's when I started to actually come online and realize, become self-aware. I think I was in 3rd grade when this Safari came out. So there's just something comforting about older GM cars. Don't know what it is. Ford doesn't have that same sort of nostalgia for me. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for letting me take out their GMC Safari. This is one of their used vehicles on the lot. They have hundreds of used cars at all times, tons of interesting things that I'm very excited to drive and show you guys, and you guys should definitely go check them out. Their information is up on the screen as well as linked in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.